Hello, everyone. It's Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo from Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous, and I'm joined by Ben Lesnick, the very long-titled person from Cloud Imperium Games. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hey, I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. We're thinking about changing this name from 5 for Ben Lesnick because we normally ask you more than 5 to just like whatever the day is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm trying to make a pun off of Mondays with Maury, the book from a long time ago. So it's going to be, today will be Wednesdays with Ben, and next week might be Tuesdays with Ben. But we'll come up with a better name as time goes on.
Oh, just call it Ben.
Yeah, well, we could do that. Or Ben answers our questions. But who are our? Like, who are we?
The royal.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to do is give people that are not subscribers a chance to ask CIG the questions here, like they do the few thousand that watch you stream every Friday that ask the same exact questions that we ask here sometimes. But that's a pretty good thing. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go with a couple of my questions first because they lead right into the questions that I found other people are talking about. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get a little bit more insight into Rec because I know it's been implemented, doesn't mean it's done being worked on. But last week when we talked about Rec, or it might have been 2 weeks ago when we talked about Rec, we talked about the tokens and the 24-hour tokens. And you mentioned that it would be 24 hours of in-game time, which right now what people are trying to lock down is what is that hour equal to in real life time?
Okay, so as Rec works right now, it basically burns off one 24-hour token for each day that you log into Arena Commander. So if I have 7 days worth of, say, a Super Hornet, and I play 1 day, I'm down to 6 days.
All right.
But then if I don't play for 5 more days, it doesn't take up any time.
But say I'm somebody that accumulates, because the way that we're making Rec right now, we're going to accumulate hundreds of thousands of Rec.
I will note that Rec, enjoy it while you can. Rec is... it's generating Rec a little bit more easily than we had anticipated. So I would expect to see that balanced a bit in the next patch.
All right, that's important to know because the way I look at it right now is that say I accumulated enough to buy 5 ships or to rent 5 ships. Because it's going off of when I log into Arena Commander or log into the game, I don't necessarily get the most out of that Rec that I spend on renting that ship. I thought the way that it was going to work was going to be when I flew that ship, it burnt one 24-hour token over the next 24 hours.
That is how we would like it to work, but it's not how it works at the moment.
Perfect.
Right now it just pings the game and says, okay, they're playing Arena Commander, take another day off. But we do want that to be more robust in the future.
And that might be one of the reasons you're letting us make more Rec now so we can continue to pay for those.
Yeah, it was intentional.
Yeah, see, I'm leading you down that answer. All right, so one of the wonderful additions that work in our hangar has been the sim pod, but it's kind of like this tin coffin at this point. You get into it, and there's really no controls in there or anything. And I'm trying to envision how I would feel being inside of that, trying to play. I'm probably putting too much thought into this when the game has to be made. But is that really what is intended to be the way that we enter into Arena Commander and Space Marine for the future, or is that a stopgap measure? And you could tell me how you feel about it, like in your own words.
I think for the time being, it's how you'll interact with them. Honestly, probably my least favorite thing I've done in Star Citizen was when Arena Commander first came out, come up with the fiction that the way you play the game is you go to an actual spaceship and load it up.
Right.
Which that's stretched reality for me. I know people have different boundaries in their fictional worlds, but that one always bugged me. So just the idea that you go to a computer and the sim pod may change its style in the future. You may get the ability to customize it, upgrade it, all that sort of thing. But it's definitely the path we'll be going down for Arena Commander and Star Marine. But I'll also note that there's an imminent future where Arena Commander and Star Marine won't matter that much because we'll have an actual universe where you go out and play. And there'll be, how many times did you play the sim pod in the train sim in the original Wing Commander? Once, and it was cool, and then you went out to the actual game with the story and the universe and so on.
I don't know. I was always trying to get a high score on that thing, so. I envisioned having that arcade machine in my house. So, no, I know what you're saying. And, I was trying to tie this into the star map and things that we're going to see in the future. Because the room system at some point, I assume room system will come, and it's implemented now, but we don't see it. But it will be rolled out to us sometime around the social module. Is that about right?
I would say so. I know they just hired somebody up at Behavior who's going to be working on this.
And I'm wondering if, like, maybe, you tie in, like, the whole sim pod into, like, a hollow room where you have the star map, where you have the FPS Star Marine, where you have Arena Commander, whether it be a seat in the middle of the room or a table that comes up out of the floor to do the star map. And that's, that all would use that same interface, that holographic interface.
We definitely are doing a star cartography room. That was a stretch goal at one point.
Right.
I think we'll keep Arena Commander and Star Marine separate, just kind of to emphasize their importance in the overall scheme of things, which is not that much.
Okay, good. I like how you're answering that, because it's something that matters to us right now because it's there. It's how we interact with it. But your answer is actually spot on. It's not going to matter when the game goes live. That's
one of the fascinating things about Arena Commander. It is so much of our backers' lives and so much of our lives right now. It's so important to Star Citizen, and in a year we will forget it ever existed. It's an interesting process.
All right. So you just mentioned that there's somebody that came on at Behavior that's working hopefully on the room system, but the star map is being done for the website by Turbulent.
That's right. In fact, the tech aspect of that is all done at this point. It's just a matter of walking down the guys in Austin are working on the map and figuring out what they want to reveal. But we're getting close. I heard talk of maybe some sort of event to reveal the first Star Citizen map, both the print one that folks have been promised and the web map. So
thank you. And what people are asking, and if you look at the star map question there, it's going to be, do you think that the star map is going to, because Chris has been pushing realism in this game very much, and there's some things that are given way to fun, but some things that are given way to being realistic, like the flight models and the craft. Do you think that we will be able to see Earth in relation to where Terra is, and then look on a real map and say, oh, that's the star that Terra orbits, or is it?
No. So and this is something that goes back to Wing Commander again, is the idea that a map made of jump points is different than a geographic map.
Okay.
Sort of like when you get in a subway and your map kind of looks like the real city, but not really. It's done in such a way that it works with the system.
All right.
So in a system with jump points, you might have a star that's 1 light year from another star, and I don't know if the science works out there. I'm not much of an astrophysicist.
Right.
So let's say there's one star that's 1,000 light years from another star. Maybe it's a single jump, but they're nowhere near each other in terms of other stars.
All right.
So you end up with a different kind of map.
So in other words, what you're doing is you're just using creative freedom to say, this is Terra, and you're not going to say actually what star that is in our night sky.
It does give us the freedom to do that. Stars themselves are just so plentiful. I mean, there's trillions and trillions of stars.
Right.
So I think pretty much any sci-fi universe can take its world and map it to the existing stars later if they need to. And we certainly use some actual star names in Star Citizen.
Okay, awesome. I think that answers Old Dragon's. Or was that Old Dragon? I think it was an Old Dragon's question. So as we're moving on into some of the other pieces of this, I think we'll move on to Ben Devini's question, because we asked this probably in one of the times that we sat down. But if there any more information on owning and running businesses, like what could they expect from owning or running a business in the $1 Million Club, Million Mile High Club?
Well, I hate to dodge the question, but it's not one I can go into detail yet. This is a design that's with Tony right now.
Tony's okay.
One thing I found with Tony is that we sent him Chris Roberts' crazy vision, and he says, "Okay, we can do that, but I want to do these 5 other things too." So
he's adding more to it.
Oh yeah, he's added so much to the planet side already. It's crazy.
All right. Now that's
I would say there was a point in Star Citizen development where the planet side was, it was the glue that stuck the game together. Now it's a game in and of itself.
so this is something that's going to be better than what was promised then, or something different than what was going to be promised, that you could own these businesses and run these clubs.
It'll be better than what was promised.
All right.
And that's the goal for everything in Star Citizen.
Yeah, well, it seems like every time I see something, it gets better and better. And I'm trying to dodge the question till last about the servers and the name of the game, so we'll do that. And again, go check. I think that maybe he missed an episode a few back, but Arena Commander to me is like this action game. But people ask, will you be able to test other elements of the game in there? GoTrek wants to know about mining. Are you going to test mining inside of Arena Commander at some point?
I don't know if it would be Arena Commander. It may be. It'll depend where we are in the process. But we do want to be doing essentially mini modules where we test a particular gameplay. So there'll be the part of the game where you test mining. There'll be the one where you do exploration and so on and so forth. My guess is how that will take shape is that we'll be probably beyond the limitations of Arena Commander by that point. So instead of saying, oh, by the way, our original systems added mining to Arena Commander, it'll be more like, oh, you can get in your ship now and you can fly out to this asteroid field we've stuck here, and we want you to see how it works.
Oh, that's awesome. So in other words, just like you said, Arena Commander is not going to be as important at some point in the future. So when you get the player universe out and ready, you could actually pick different pieces of it and have us play out there. Which it really is still the same place, though. It's just going to be bigger maps.
Yeah, it's no longer the game within the game. It's you leaving your hangar, which is, I don't know, it's a small thing, but it's kind of cool.
I do have to tell you though, I've been having an amazing amount of fun with the other enablers on Sunday nights, and since we've been getting together in Arena Commander, specifically doing Vandal Swarm, it's just fun as it's really, really amazing. I'm sorry, Pythagoras, but if we ask if there's going to be strip joints in the game again, it's probably going to make Ben just do what?
Well, I tell you what. Did you ever watch like a network TV show where they go to a strip club? It's so embarrassingly stupid. You're like, that takes you out of the world immediately. I wouldn't want to have it.
Right. I mean, I think what they're talking about is like in the same light that Mass Effect had it, I guess. I don't know, but he's in the enablers, so I asked him the question regardless.
But I'll tell you what again. If we ended up having them, they would not be. It wouldn't just be an opportunity to go after women. If you ever play Strike Commander, there's male cheesecake in there too. So
Strike Commander was fun.
And I will say yes, there will be all sorts of darker parts of the universe. I can't say strip clubs in particular, but it's in our heads.
Okay, so let's come forward to last Friday, or was it Thursday? I forget. It was one of those 2 days when it was Friday when Arena Commander came to us and became Star Citizen. What was the thought process behind the change of the name, or is that something that's still not done? Like we went from Arena Commander to Star Citizen all of a sudden.
Well, the Arena Commander to Star Citizen is definitely permanent because we're going to go beyond Arena Commander in a few short weeks as we introduce Star Marine and then the social module. Right. So that no room for debate there.
I called it. Sorry.
The version number thing obviously is causing all sorts of debates, and it's one of those great Star Citizen community things where it's a totally valid point, to the point that we are rethinking it internally right now. We're having this debate. Do we call it Alpha 1.1? Do we call it 0.1.1? Essentially the exact same argument everyone on the forums is having right now. It probably doesn't matter to any people playing Star Citizen right now. It
only matters to new people, Ben. It doesn't matter to anybody that's in the game right now because it's still what we've been doing.
Yeah, so we will change our messaging on that as soon as we settle down on exactly the right thing to do. It's interesting because one thing we kind of get accused of in this process is, oh, this is a number made up for marketing, which I can't stress enough at this point that everybody internally calls it 1.1. It hasn't been in a way that, we're getting ready for 1.1, 1.1 is coming, 1.1, so on. It hasn't been anything that matters to us internally. So now that we change it, it's actually a little bit more marketing-y than it would have been before.
Like controversy. It always builds you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, attention.
But it's an interesting process, and we definitely will be making some changes to messaging.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. It doesn't matter to the people playing it right now. It does matter to people that are looking at it because they'll think it's a finished game and might
Definitely.
skip past the messaging of helping us test it. But
But and the really cool thing about that is that our players care what other people think,
right.
which you don't have. There are so many processes where people take a game and they want it to be exclusionary. This is our game; nobody else can understand. We're the real whatever fans, and nobody else can come into our clubhouse. With Star Citizen, you have our backers reacting in a way that's like we care about how this game reaches other people, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of these little things that we talk about here that people bring up about messaging like that, it really would never have happened if you guys decided to make the game like every other AAA title is made, and we wouldn't have even seen it until a closed beta. So internally, you might call, "Hey James," I like his cameos each week. I don't think people, I think people would like it better this way than that way. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I certainly do.
Yeah. Hey Nikki, thanks. All right, so I missed Brad Craig's message about the Retaliator, but I see rotary racks in the Retaliator, and it carries 4 torpedoes. Do you see that question? It says, I was wondering why we didn't get the rotary bomb racks there to fit 6 torpedoes, but there's 4 torpedoes. There's 2 on each rack.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. The torpedoes in the back are supposed to be smaller torpedoes, not those big ones.
Yeah.
Maybe those are going to be 6. I'm sorry. I totally missed that. So
no worries.
I'm going to throw my question at you now, which obviously I built my own from what people said above. But my own question just has to do with joystick versus mouse. Okay? And
yeah, I love that argument.
Oh, well, you know what? I think that there's an obvious fix to it, but I don't think you guys are going to do it because it's just copying what Elite Dangerous does. Have it so if you keep the target, keep the cone over the target, it auto tracks the gimbals to the ship. That would be the best way to settle that argument. But I know that you're going to try to make it your own way. No matter what, whenever I look at the leaderboards, mouse players are always first. You're not going to balance it.
I can't speak to it myself because I'm not the one doing the balancing, but we will try as best we can. And I don't think we're too proud to take a look at what Elite is doing. I would hate to be the company that doesn't take everything into consideration.
All right. Well, it's like I wasn't trying to call you out like that, Ben. You know me better than that. It's just I know that you guys are going to create. When I say things like that, I know that you guys are going to find a way to make your own mark on it. You know what I mean? Like you've created technology to make this game work so far, so I trust that it's going to be worked on. But right now, it's like I just am in awe of these players that play with mouse. They are so incredible. And I sit there with my joystick and I go, wow, it's just so much harder when you're going to make those AI that good. The AI is getting incredible in this game. And I assume they had an upgrade this patch, right?
I believe they did.
Yeah.
My issue with playing with the mouse is it's just not as much fun. I love the feel of the stick in my hand and the throttle in my other hand. It's so much cooler than very carefully moseying my mouse around.
I think they're better than that. I think they're better than very carefully moving their mouse around. I think they've found their own niche in that. You know what I mean? And I can't pick on them for that because they're amazing at it, And the whole mouse versus keyboard thing will never be satisfied in people's heads because someone's always going to try to say someone else has an edge over them, right?
But it's an interesting example of the different kinds of work we do here.
Yeah.
So we have... There's a part of Star Citizen where we say, okay, we have this amount of work to do. We know we can build this large world that'll stream maps. It's just going to take X amount of time to actually build the tech out to that. And then you have these challenges like mouse versus keyboard where there's no roadmap for it. We need a new theory of design to make this work. And so you have different people thinking different ways. It's great. Take the Oculus Rift. For most of the time it was, hey, we're going to get this to work. It's just a matter of time. and then you find some technical challenge like with the DK2, and like, okay, we need a new theory for how to work this. And both processes are very interesting. Both processes, we have people who are oriented for each of them, and one of them is just much more frustrating in terms of predicting how long it will take.
Okay, I like that. And finally, I want you to give an opportunity, because we can't close this one out this week without talking about how hard and dedicated the people in Austin or in, with the servers are working to make multiplayer work. Can you give us some insight about like how critical it is to you guys and like the meetings that you've had? So people already know that you're doing a wonderful job. I've read the boards and I've seen in the ones where you get the updates, people are very, very, they're being very kind about it, and I think that's awesome. And your end seems to be very forthcoming with information whenever they get it. So what else could you tell us? Like, what is there anything like your end?
No, I would say, one of the great things about 1.1 is that it has gotten so much attention. We're seeing twice the concurrency numbers we were before.
There you go.
And Monday morning, we said, oh, okay, none of the servers are working. What's wrong? What did we screw up? And the answer was nothing. There's just too many people who want to play. And now that we have all the other people playing, we're figuring out all the other things we screwed up, and we're going and fixing them. But it's the process. And yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the team in Austin who's doing an incredible job from the server side, back end of things. I think the guys in the UK, Arena Commander could not be happening without them. And the new tech guys in Germany, I know, are being a big influence on everything already. It's been an exciting. It's exciting to see everybody collaborating.
And the good note would be like almost 60,000 new backers in the last 90 days, I think it is, or less than that. Last 60 days, 90, 60.
Yeah, we got a great buy-in from the promos we did at South by Southwest and PAX East.
Yeah, and you still have a couple of major things to go. Are you guys going to PAX Prime this year?
We are not doing PAX Prime this year. I think our next big event will be Gamescom, and we're just trying to figure out how to pull out all the stops, make it an event like
you're in Europe for two this year, right? Gamescom and CitizenCon?
We've got Gamescom in August. We've got CitizenCon in
Manchester? Or?
In October, Manchester.
Oh, wow.
We've also got a bunch of smaller events. I believe they're going to do something in Montreal with Behavior and Turbulent.
Okay.
A little bit later this year, we've got we're sending people to some other events. We've got Dragon Con, I'll be at Comic-Con, might be me. You've got I'm trying to think. Paris Games Week is one.
Okay.
All sorts of opportunities to meet us.
All right. So I've kept you long today. I threw you on the under the bus on a couple. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, anytime. That's my job. Is bus transportation.
Halting the bus transportation. Ben, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your candor, your honesty in answering those questions, and you wanting to be here to do it. And thanks again.
No, sure thing. The bus stops here.
Yeah. And with that said, let's say goodbye to everybody. Ben, your turn first, and I'll close us out.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right. And with that said, guys, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.